Welcome to the Bookworm Bindery with Cathy-Lynn. Today we are going to do the start of a series of videos. I have been commissioned to do a journal for a client, and I thought I'd bring you along for the ride. So I did already go ahead and get the book here all, sorry for the noise, bound up and all. So now I'm in the process of getting it put together with my tape, and as soon as this part gets done, we're going to cover it with the fabric that's been provided by the client. So we're going to call, ooh, weird noises, we're going to call our client Stephanie. Stephanie ordered several journals a couple months ago, and this is the third in the list of journals that she ordered. Hopefully I can get that, or this particular journal, completed for her in the next week. So I am going to be, oh, that's all I needed, just one on each side. I'm going to be, let's put that tape away. I'm going to be taping every day, once or twice. I normally work in the craft room in the mornings and then go to my other job in the late afternoons, early evenings. So what I'm doing here is just getting this book cover, or the book blank, comfortable with the concept of bending. I like that bending stuff in a book. If we didn't, we'd all be doing everything online. Okay. So that is now ready for fabric. So the fabric that she chose, come here, sorry, got you going a bit there, was this ocean fabric. And the request by the customer was to be able to focus on the pinks and purples with less on the oranges. So that means that I have to position. I'm going to have a bit of waste fabric, but you know, it'll get used. It'll get used for something. So we're kind of looking at these guys being at the front. And I had looked at this fabric previously, and one of the things that I kind of, well, I didn't kind of do it. I kind of cut out one of the seahorses, obviously not the purple one, but the teal, turquoisey green one. And once I got it cut out, I put it on the back of a piece of paper, kind of cardstocky stuff, and thought that I would be able to use that in the book. Plus, I figured I could do that with some other pieces as well. So I thought that was kind of fun to do. All right, let's move that aside because I don't want to get it stuck in here. So if I go for this section here on the front of the book, thinking these pinks, this teal would be nice. Come back in later for that purple. Then on this side, she's going to have this pink and green seahorse, and she's going to end up with some of these oranges and yellows, but they will be on the back of the journal. If I move this up, then that might be a little bit better. It pulls in the purple. I get at least the tentacles, I'd have these two seahorses on the front. Yes. I'd get pink tentacles. I'd have some purple and blue shells. And then on the back half, let's see, make sure his little nose gets in there. Like little seahorse snouts. The spine is going to be covered by this iridescent scales fabric, so not too concerned with what would be on the spine. When I flipped it, I would get part of the flippers of this turtle, but I think I would continue to get seahorses. So if this guy's nose was just barely on, then this guy's fin is going to be wrapping around the book. Yeah, I think this is the section that's my good choice. And this would be folded over, obviously, not this way. Right side up. Okay, cool. All right, so let me start by giving this a snip and a tear, and I'll try to do that without jostling you. Guess I didn't see anything about the other stuff on the table. Okay. It rolled a little bit, but that's not a big deal in the end. Okay, and then let's give it some space up here, some space up here. A lot of people do not like the concept of tearing fabric. I worked at Hancock Fabrics for years, and I can tell you, as most quilters and sewists will also be able to tell you, that tearing is an excellent way to get a straight edge. There are some fabrics you cannot tear. You have to cut, like this polyester piece that we're going to be putting on the spine. But that's okay. If you can cut lots of things, but you can tear more that are straight, your life is better as an employee of a fabric store. Okay. Good. So that's that. This is what we've got. Let's turn it over. Okay. Threads can be an issue when you first tear, but torn fabric tends not to ravel. So you have some initial threads, and then you can just kind of ignore the rest of them because it's not going to get worse. Well, this isn't going to get worse anyways. It's getting glued down. Okay, so here is the base. Some of this fabric that we tore off, we're going to go ahead and put on the inside of the spine. I always put fabric on both the inside and the outside. The tape that I put down, this is masking tape, that's just holding in space for now. The fabric in the end will be what actually holds it in the long run, because tape products will eventually dry out and dissipate, but because you've got fabric on the inside and the outside, you are golden. Okay, now what we're going to do here is we're going to grab a finger cot because that's just too much glue on my skin for too long. What we're going to do here, actually I'm just going to turn that, oops, wrong part. Let's turn this over. At this point, this does not have a right or wrong side. Doesn't matter. Absolutely doesn't matter in the least. Which side of this book board is the front and the back? Or the, inside and outside, I guess. So once I've got the glue on, and I tend to use Fabrifix. Fabri-Tac is easier to find. And for a bottle that size, it's about $2 cheaper. But I find that the Fabrifix works better. I prefer it for my costuming. I prefer it for this. And let's turn this over, lay it out, press it down, and then flip the whole thing over. There are as many ways to make your journal, the actual journal itself. There's as many ways to do that as there are people doing it. Everybody's going to have their preferences. In this case, the client Stephanie's preferences is for me to do it, not herself. Okay, so I'm just going to go through. I fluctuate between, do I put glue on part of it and then lay this down a little bit and then put glue on the next part of it, or do I just glue the whole thing? But today, apparently, I'm doing parts of it. This is a nice heavyweight cotton, but I still don't want the glue to seep through and leave stains. To tell you the truth, if you did that on this book with the background colors all kind of tie-dyed and stuff, I don't think it'd show. But by smoothing out the glue this way, sort of ensures that that won't come through in puddles. I've had once one piece of fabric I had to strip off and throw away because it wouldn't, it just, the glue just bled through. It was a polyester, it was shimmery, it was going to be a really pretty book. There we go. But not with splotches of glue coming through. So you do have to be kind of mindful of that. I find that the heavier cottons or even polyesters work better. Sometimes it's not what you want, so you'll learn to work around it. All right. I'm going to try to get all the way through covering this in part 1. And then I'll come back and do part 2 and we'll get the fabric put on. That's the plan. On occasions, my video just shuts itself off. So if we have an abrupt ending, I will see you in part 2. But I will also make a little note that says, yes, it does end abruptly. Hopefully that won't happen. Okay. Now, let's get this put down. So, I'll drop this in. I'm going to go ahead and do each of my corners. I hate it when that board, the book board, pops out because I've cut this and I didn't cut it well. So I no longer cut it. And I do it this way. And it works just fine. Looking at some really old books. I have tons of books. Looking at some really old books from the late 1800s and into the 1900s, my fabric covered old books often had these squared off corners. And I can remember when I first started this thinking, wow, I wonder how you do that. Then when I started using this method of turning my fabric over to the underside, the inside, all of a sudden I got these beautiful squared off corners. Okay. Glad you're here for the ride. It can be kind of a somewhat tedious job, especially if you have multiple books you're trying to get done in a short amount of time. And it's nice to have somebody to chat to. Okay. I have a glue mat. It's a cheapy cutting mat that I got at Ace Hardware. I think it comes in a package of, well, they used to come in a package of 2. I don't know if they still do. That may not be the case. But apparently today I decided that I was just not up to pulling it out from underneath my cutting mat. So yeah, that's just utter laziness, you know, when it's right here. It's not even like I have to get up and go get it. Oh well. Okay. So even with the finger caught on, I am still getting glue on my hands, but it'll peel off. It will. Okay. Now, apparently I didn't get that too close to the edge. I hope I'm not working too close to the camera for you. I'm trying to not bash the camera, so I may be too close. Okay. So here we have the front, and here we have the back, and here we have the spine before it gets covered. And then just because I have the fabric for this, I'm going to go ahead and use this. Let's see. I usually take it out as wide as the tape. So I'm going to want it to go just about here and just about here. And if this is the edge here, I mean, it's 2 cuts, but it does get rid of the offending orange turtle. Now, I personally don't like orange turtles, but okay, oh, I cut that really crooked. Kind of was trying to cheat. Okay. Straighten these out. Get all the offending threads worked out. So as I'm working on this video at this time, I am looking at going on about 19 minutes now. It probably took me, get rid of my little threads in my trash can. It probably took me about 25 minutes, I would say, to cut the boards, get them glued together. So by the time I get this covered, yeah, we're probably looking at close to an hour. Okay, so now I'm going to be getting rid of this bottle because I don't need that large dispensing hole, and I'm going to go with my smaller ones. This is a Sweet Sugar Bell frosting container. It comes right with a writing tip. Looks to be about a number 4 if you're a cake decorator. Doesn't say on there, but yeah, that's what I'd go with. Could be a 3. So anyway, Pam at the Paper Outpost was one of the first people that I watched put together journals. She sent me off to Nick the Booksmith, and I watched some of her videos, took a class or two, and Pam was saying that this Sugar Bell was really nice, and I thought, I'll try it. So when you order it online, you get 2 of them, and I was like, okay, that's fine. I can use 2, and it was good to have a backup. My first one got a crack in it, busted it up after, oh my gosh, like a year and a half of use. What are things coming to these days? No, not really. And then I just use a thumb jack to keep it closed, and that works really well, I think. I've seen people do, pretty, like beads and tassel things to put on the end, and I was like, I don't know if I need that much more stuff sitting on my table. And then the advantage to the red is that it shows. You can find it. Kind of stands out. I do have a spare one sitting in I have a basket of odds and ends, and it's got a fabric lining, and I just stuck it into the fabric lining. Okay, let's see what we've got here. It's about even, but maybe only, it's about even. Once it's covered with the inside cover papers, how far over it goes doesn't matter. As long as we still have our cute little sealers. Have to have that. Now I'm looking for a bone folder. Okay. All right. Sorry, I think I brushed you. Okay. Now that that seems pretty much done, I think we'll take this finger cut off. It feels like it's strangling my poor little finger. Then we'll put it in the trash bag for non-recyclable plastics recycling. Okay. Yeah, this is fine. And then over here, nope, got that one done well. Okay. So now we have this. I think this attention to detail is important. It barely shows. It is not something that really is a major attraction on the inside of a book or a journal. But when you have that beautiful watermark, or you have that beautiful moire, you have something like this in this case that matches, it does catch the eye. It's definitely more visible in a journal than in a traditionally bound book. And so I feel like it needs to either blend in, or it needs to stand out beautifully with a touch of elegance and definitely interest, if not elegance. Okay, so that is the fabric portion for the inside, and now I need to do the spine. And this particular piece shows up all kinds of colors. I did a mock-up before I actually started doing this and sent the client a picture. And I did start with, this is not complete. But she was like, oh my gosh, it looks like it's finished. I'm like, yeah, it's all been tucked in. It's not finished. This particular piece of the fabric has the nail holes from where it was put onto the loom. And that is going to show, because I want this to be a little wider Doesn't need to be as wide as this, but I don't think I'm going to get them cut off. We'll see. But I have a really nice piece of lace that I want to put on this particular edge. Let's turn you. So I was going to put it on the front, but not the back. And that way, if there are a few of these little holes, which stand out to me terribly, but you may not be able to see them at all. Maybe I'll just start cutting it on the back and try to cut along those. That would be good. I think it'll still be wide enough. If not, I'll cry. I cut this piece off and then I sent the rest of the fabric home with my client. If she hasn't used it up, maybe I can get it. No, you know, I think it's going to be okay. And I think the width is good. I do have to remember to put the scales going this way, because in the mock-up picture I sent, they were going the other way, and I didn't notice it until I was looking at it in the picture. Okay, well, let's make this straight. I'm not going to take it around. I feel like that would bulk it up too much. So I'm just cutting it even with the edge of the book. I usually take it around the ends. I feel like the more support, the better. But this time, the choice was to not do that. Okay, so now I'm going to start just on the back. Okay. I must say that in the screen of the camera, my cutting mat sure is a prettier color. It's a little more washed out than that. It's old. It's well used, well loved. All right. So here. Oh, that's an interesting thing. The glue has, I can't feel it, but where the glue is, I can see the pattern underneath the scales of that. See that kind of serpentine. I don't know if that'll clear away as it dries or not. If it doesn't, I think it's going to look kind of cool, actually. Okay, so we'll see. I suppose if she hates it, I'll redo it. And then remember, on this edge, there will be a piece of lace. So that little voice from afar was Mamacita. Okay. Now let's see here. Okay. It would be good if I could find that. Okay, I'm gonna let that dry for a few minutes. Make sure that everything's good. Okay, now, while that's setting up, I've leaned back and I am pulling out the paper that's going on the inside, my front and back cover. And this, I'll show you really quick, is coming off a pad of paper called Create Your Own Fairy Tale Once Upon a Time stack. There is a mermaid in here that I am going to pull out and put in this particular book. And would be good if I could find it. Probably would have been good if I found it before I started videoing, so that things were all together and, you know, it made for a nice video. Okay, well, thanks for your patience. Let me just show you the piece of paper. So, as you can see, we have a mermaid and all of these bubbles, and that is what's going to be going on the inside of this book. I used a similar paper with a dragon on it for this same customer. She had ordered a dragon journal, and for the most part she wants the journal started, but she has a lot of things to put in herself. So this particular journal, like her other ones that she's ordered, will have some things of interest in it that are ocean and mermaid oriented, and then she will do a lot of the fill. So maybe at some point in the future we could get her to bring that journal back and we can take a look at it and see what it is she's done with it. That would be a really good thing to do. So now that that is sort of set up, oh man, how perfect is that? You'd have thought I planned it. I so didn't. No idea. Yay, a win. Okay, I'm not gonna keep you through this whole process. I want the mermaid to be on the front, and I think what I'll do, not sure how, this is gonna be up here. Maybe I can use a piece from over here and get this put down in here, and maybe I can't. Maybe they will both be at the top. Well, you're gonna have to come back to find that out, because I will start my next video with this being glued into here, and then I will start punching the holes and get the signatures put in. That's the plan for part 2. Okay, I hope you make it. I hope you come back. Thank you very much. Have fun.